Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the morning market preparation video for Friday, April 20th, 2018. So we're looking at a market here that's just kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. And honestly, a consolidation is a really good thing for the market. And even though we did end up getting some selling yesterday, a lot of that selling came as a result of some worries. Out of Apple. There's some worries that Apple may miss on their sales expectations this quarter, and so that hit the market pretty hard yesterday. There was also a little bit of a conflict on the trade war side of things, with Qualcomm possibly losing some sales based on, this whole idea of trade war. So there was a little bit of pressure in that tech sector yesterday. And if we take a look at the Qs, you can see we had a pullback. And this, honestly, if you're looking at chart patterns, this is an evening star pattern. An evening star pattern generally means downside. But if we look over some of the other indexes, if we take a look at the diamonds, the Dow had a slight pullback yesterday. So far, holding on okay. And at the end of the day, we actually saw the bulls kind of step in and push us back up off of this little support area. Yesterday, I did mention that we were building a little bit of a support area here with all of these moving averages kind of coming up. And we're hoping that we get some support. So a consolidation right here is good. But the question is, what is the market waiting on? What's going to inspire us to really get moving? Well, I think, and this is just a guess, I think what the market's waiting on is next week. We have a huge number of earnings coming in next week. Somewhere around 800 companies will be reporting next week. So as those earnings, roll in, we're going to get probably a decision, that big decision, whether we can push higher and break through levels of resistance, or if those bears are going to gain the upper hand and push us down. So a couple scenarios here. If we get that inspiration for the bulls and we start pushing higher, it may be just the kind of thing we need to really start popping through some of these important levels of resistance. And that would be awesome if we could pop up through there and kind of follow through to the upside. And it's probably going to take some pretty good numbers to do that. Now, on the other hand, if we were to get some bad numbers and this market fails, that would be probably an ugly situation, because that would create a new lower high in the markets or in the indexes. And lower highs in a downtrend would normally suggest a new lower low. Obviously something no one wants to see happen, but we have to kind of be prepared as traders for that potential. Let's hope that we get a good round of earnings, that earnings remain strong. They've been strong so far this quarter. We get a good round of earnings, kind of inspiring, or at least emboldening those bulls to hold on. So will that big decision be made next week? Maybe. If the earnings, depending on how the earnings come out, it's also possible that we could just simply consolidate or continue to consolidate if they're kind of mediocre, mid-road there. So we have to be prepared for anything in a market, and that's what these videos are for. I believe that preparation is far more important than luck, and when I look at these charts during these morning sessions, I try to remove all bias. Obviously, I hope that the market moves up, but at the same time, I have to remove that bias, look at this chart critically, and see what the possibilities are. And that helps me prepare or be prepared for any circumstance. So taking a look, please understand, I'm not trying to win a case for the Bulls or win a case for the Bears. What I'm trying to say is we kind of have to be prepared for both and have our eyes wide open for the possibility that either one of those scenarios could play out. Let's take a look at the cues here once again. You can see the cues pulling back toward this support area, and it's going to be important that we hold in here and hold that 50-day moving average in those support areas. So you can see the diamonds and the Qs are very, very close to that situation where we could fail, and that's the last thing we want to see happen. Let's take I'm sure there's folks out there that would like to see that happen. They're thinking short, they want to be short, and they're pushing for the downside move. So I kind of tend to want to be a bull, but I always have to set aside any bias I might have and look at the chart critically. Let's take a quick look at the spiders. SPY also just kind of camping out right here in this zone where we're trying to hold on to a support area. Excuse me, a support area, and we are trying to hold on to that 50-day moving average. You can see yesterday we pushed down below that 50-day. At the end of the day, we got a little bit of inspiration in the bulls. They pushed it back up. So let's hope that continues to follow through and we can get that pop higher that we're looking for. Last but not least, IWM. IWM surprisingly has been the strongest indexes. Again, we have an evening star pattern here on IWM, and it comes in right at a price resistance level that, well, doggone it, we don't want to see that happen. But we are significantly above this 50-day moving average, and we have a really solid level of price support through here. You can see with all of these highs right through this area providing some of that price support. And so if we can hold on right here, hold above that 50-day moving average, we could find that inspiration to maybe move higher. Let's keep our fingers crossed, right? So what do we do about today? Well, today we could easily see a very choppy sideways day as the market is just kind of waiting for some inspiration to move. So kind of keep that in mind. We may not have a whole lot going on here today in the market if we do continue this consolidation. Let's take a quick look at the VIX. Now, I think the VIX is good news because if we take a peek at that, we can see that the VIX held off. It's still below that 50-day moving average, failing there. And also, I'm going to go back to this chart, holding below this price support area. So we tried to move up, but by the end of the day pulled back down below that support area. So what's really good news, I think, is that the VIX really didn't show a major increase in fear yesterday. That would kind of lead me to believe that today, unless we have some kind of a news event, a catalyst that really inspires one side or the other, we could just see a little bit of chop as we wait for that big earnings week next week. Let's take a look at T21.22. Now, T21.22 has been showing us that we're up here at this high point. Just a second, I need to change that chart. Up here at this high reversal area, and we did get a little bit of a pullback yesterday. And so now that we're in here, if we can get a little more rest in the market, that could continue to pull this back slightly. Just a little bit more rest could pull us back slightly. But this gives us more room for a potential upside move if we can get that inspiration to pop higher. Now, earnings this morning have now made a decision here. We were kind of hovering around flat. Earnings this morning seem to have moved us a little bit lower in the market. And if we take a look at the Dow, we're now looking at just a slightly lower open this morning. Dow futures currently down about 30 points, which, again, we're kind of in that chop zone, stuck between a rock and a hard place. And that could flip around several times as we move toward that earnings today, or move toward the open today. We've been both bullish or positive, flat, and negative. So hopefully we don't get any kind of major thing or major earnings event or news event that really pushes us much lower. So with that, we're kind of stuck here. We're in a very interesting place, and we're waiting for the market to make a big decision. Be really careful as you plan your weekend ahead. We could certainly see the bears get inspired ahead of a weekend and push us down. A lot of people want to lay off risk ahead of a weekend. We just don't know, but we're stuck in this zone. It makes it really, really difficult to make too many decisions on trades. But consolidations can generally set up really good trading environments. So continue to look at your charts, continue to build those watch lists, and plan your risk carefully as we head into that big decision week. Hopefully next week is when that decision will be made. We'll get an inspiration to go one way or another. Everyone take care. Have a fantastic weekend. I want to wish you all great profits. And if this is the first time you've seen these videos, please do me a favor. Click that subscribe button on YouTube, the follow me button on Facebook if you happen to be watching it there. Click those thumbs up buttons. That's what I meant to say. Click those thumbs up buttons. Drop a comment, and always feel free to share this video with any friends or family. Everyone take care. Have an awesome weekend. We'll talk to you all bright and early Monday morning.